What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's video, reacting to how to fix annoying string buzz on your guitar by Musora. So what's going on, everybody? Today, we're going to be reacting to how to fix annoying string buzz by Musora. Now, as always, go ahead and give Musora, this channel, if you haven't already, a sub, and also go and give the original video a like. I included the link in the description, and also don't forget, as always, on this video, my video, leave a comment on what you'd like to see me react to next. Now, let's get to it.
Perfect, good to go. Just kidding. Hey, it's Nate Savage
Okay.
here, and I want to show you how to fix that annoying buzz or string rattle on your guitar, particularly your acoustic guitar in this video, but a lot of these tips apply to the electric as well. A lot of these tips are going to be just how to diagnose if something is wrong with your guitar, and what you do with that diagnosis depends on how adventurous you want to get with either repairing your own guitar, or if you don't want to do that, maybe you need to take it into a professional. But we'll go through a few different ways to tell what is causing this string buzz. Here you go.
Okay, so this video is going to be more or less about just identifying it and not necessarily any ways to fix it, if I've heard correctly. Okay, but still, nonetheless, let's see what we got.
The first thing is just your guitar technique. Do you need to refine it and have, just better technique for getting a better, cleaner sounding sound out of your guitar? And the first little chord I played there was just a bar chord, and there are a lot of things wrong with it. I wasn't pushing down hard enough. My fingers are back towards like the middle of the fret instead of being right behind the fret. And I guess that's the first tip for technique, is be right behind the fret.
Okay, yeah. Kind of thought it would go without saying that, yeah, make sure that you're playing with proper technique, but okay, I thought this was going to be more like, and again, as with every good reaction video, you should not watch it beforehand, so I thought it was going to be, actually doing some luthier type repairs and whatnot, but it still may be, but yes, obviously, make sure that you're playing the guitar properly first. Yeah, there's that.
Step toward the middle or the back, because you're going to get buzz if you do that. All right, next thing is your truss rod on your guitar. And I'm going to intentionally
There we go.
put this truss rod in a position where it has a back bow to it, or the neck has a back bow to it, where you get a really nasty rattle. And a lot of people are kind of afraid to mess with their truss rod. They think you're going to mess it up. And as long as you aren't extreme with it, you're really not going to mess it up. It's just a matter of getting to know your guitar and experimenting with adjusting the truss rod. So let me...
Yes, he's absolutely right. You can absolutely adjust your truss rod. It's not going to do any damage as long as you don't go extreme on either side and strip it, basically. Adjusting your truss rod is something that you should be able to do without having to bring it to a tech or a luthier. Although myself, I'm not one to talk. I was doing it up until not only but a few months ago. One of the many things that I didn't get into until my later years because, well, sometimes you have a few too many plates spinning. But yes, absolutely, that's part of your basic action and setup. Although he said in this is mainly geared more towards acoustic guitars. I was hoping for something that had a little more with electrics, but again, we'll still see what we got here. Yes, absolutely doing that. And if it was an electric guitar, you could lower and raise the saddles. I've never really done much of anything at all with setting up the action on an acoustic because there's no saddles to raise up. And there's a saddle, but that's usually like, made out of bone or plastic or something. I don't know. And you'd have to either shim it up or file it down. That's something that is way out of my pay grade as far as doing any sort of tech work for an acoustic to raise or lower the action, yes, I would still absolutely be bringing it to a tech. But electrics and basses, I'm starting to do a lot of work on my own, and hopefully he's got some more other tips for that sort of stuff. I usually, could always use a few more tips, just like all of us, especially since, like I always say, the last couple videos, when it covers any sort of tech stuff like this is my journey as much as it is yours. I'm reacting to these videos in real time. I'm just now getting into doing my own tech work after 3.5 decades of being in it. A little late, maybe.
Let me tighten it up a little bit to where this guitar just is buzzing with open strings.
That's a really nice Taylor, by the way.
So that's pretty buzzy, even just open. And pretty buzzy there too. And the way you can tell if you need to adjust your truss rod or not is to check the relief or the bow of the neck. And the really easy way to do that without having to get rulers or feeler gauges out is to just fret up here with your thumb where the guitar neck meets the body, then fret the first fret, and then try to tap and see if there's any space at all, because what you're basically doing is using the string as a straight edge to see how straight the neck is, and there's no gap between the string and the frets. Usually you can hear a ping, but that tells me that my neck is either too straight, too dead straight, or it's backbowed a little bit, and that's why I'm getting that buzzing sound. So
another thing you can do to assist yourself so you don't have to quite stretch all crazy like that is you can use a capo to help you with that as well too. You can put a capo over on the first fret and then your finger down with just one hand over where the neck joint meets, and then tap away with your other hand as opposed to trying to Yeah, but yes, having a capo to help you with exactly that helps quite a bit as well too.
What I would do is just, and I know I did like 3/4 turns on this.
He went to the extreme intentionally, yeah, like he said.
And then I would check the relief again. So fret the fret that joins at the body, and then the first fret. And you can hear that. There's some space in between there. And the buzz is gone. So just experimenting with adjusting your truss rod and getting a little bit of relief in there and finding out how much relief you like according to your playing style. If you pick hard, you're going to want a little bit more relief. If you pick really lightly, you're going to want a little bit less, maybe even almost perfectly straight. But that's a really common problem or common reason for having a buzzy sounding guitar that you might want to experiment with for yourself. Okay, the next reason why your guitar might be buzzing is it might need a fret dressing or fret job. Now, as we play guitar over and over and over again, playing these same chords, you might get divots in your frets where they wear out, because nickel is what most guitar frets are made of, and nickel is pretty soft. And you can see this guitar needs a fret dressing actually, especially on the B string, there are divots in those frets. And what happens is when you have a divot in a fret, the fret goes down farther than it normally would if it didn't have a divot there. And what happens is it goes down lower here than it normally would, which makes it even lower here. And it's not quite bad enough on this guitar yet to know. You can hear it there a little bit buzzy.
And he's doing, like he said, mainly acoustic guitars. And you see, he's all within the first 3 or 4 frets for all those first position chords. Because a lot of acoustic guitar, you're not ripping leads most of the time. Well, it depends what you're doing, but a lot of open chords in the first position. That's where you're going to have the largest amount of fret wear on an acoustic like that. But yeah, he's absolutely right. Fret wear that will cause some level of buzz though, but also high frets. High frets, in which case, use some of the tools like I covered when I did the reaction to the Philip McKnight video, like the fret kisser and the Z file, which I got the fret kisser, by the way, but the Z file is just back ordered all to hell. I got a notification coming out for it, but yeah, he's absolutely right. But sometimes if you get those divots that are way too far down, you're just going to need a leveling. Yeah, taking care of a specific high fret or two you can do individually, but with something like this, yeah, you would probably most likely have to go with a leveling and a crowning.
because it's buzzing up against the next fret that doesn't have a divot in here, which is, I don't know. This one's pretty bad as I'm all the way up here, but it gets progressively less. But low frets or divots in your frets can be a contributing factor to fret buzz. And one way that you can deal with this is to just level your frets yourself. If you want to get into some guitar repair, it's not that hard. It is a little bit scary, but you would straighten your neck as straight as you can get it, and then get something like this. It's just a fret leveling beam where you put sandpaper on it, like sticky sandpaper, you know, that has adhesive on the back of it. Then you just level your frets, and then you do a fret crowning too. I'll show you a tool for that here. So once you have your frets leveled, and you may or may not want to get into this, maybe easier
That
if
might
you
be
just
the
pay
Z
somebody
file.
to do it for you. Then you would file the frets to where they have a nice crown on them. They're even all the way across, no divots, anything like that, and that'll take care of a lot of buzzing issues. The next reason that you might have some buzzing.
Now that what he was talking about there, and again, I, 3.5 decades of playing basses and guitars. Only the last few months have I started doing my own tech work. Now here's what I've taken care of thus far. Fret sprout or sharp fret ends. They got a specific file that's kind of idiot proof. Fantastic, guitar techie wise, total idiot. You just put on top of the guitar and it does the sides, and you flip it over and it does the 45-degree angle. And then I got the StewMac finishing file and, learned how to finish the fret ends and then use various grits to polish the frets. That's not too big of a deal. That's taking off the sharp fret ends and redressing the ends. He's making it look like doing a level and crowning is no big deal. I'm going to beg to differ there. A leveling and crowning is kind of a big deal unless you've got a tool like that Z file, that Music Nomad, I think it's called the Z file, that I covered a few weeks ago in the Philip McKnight video. Fantastic. That coupled with the fret kisser, like I said, for single high frets, but an overall leveling, okay, maybe, but you got to know how much you're going down and not taking off too much. And it looked like the crowning file that he had was the Stuart McDonald one. I forget which one, I may have said it earlier. That not quite idiot proof. You still need some know-how and skill. But the one from the Philip McKnight review that I did a little while ago, that thing's just fantastic. That thing's pretty much, it stops you from grinding down more than the actual crowning is. So you're watching something like this and you're just starting off new and you're thinking you're going to be doing a leveling and crowning, maybe go a little bit slowly at first. And if you are going to be doing something like that, start on cheap guitars. Get yourself a little project guitar. I got a new guitar for that, but it was only $108. I got a Harley Benton, Telecaster copy that, is pretty good, but, if I do kind of do something that wrong with it, it's $108.
On your guitar is that the nut slots are too low or the nut needs to be replaced. And there's a quick test that you can use to see if your nut slots are too low. This is my Alvarez Yari GY1, and it's, I think, a 1990 model, and this is the original nut on it. So it is time to replace this nut. Probably also time to replace the saddles, and it needs a fret dressing too. So this guitar is just in bad shape, but we're gonna get it playing good over the next few months. But the way you can tell if your nut is too low, you can use a capo to just capo the 3rd fret. And then check
Another
this out.
capo trick. I like it.
It's left-handed, but we'll see. Then tap on the 1st fret. And you should hear a ping on each string. You can hear that. And this 1st string right here is barely pinging at all, if at all. A little bit, but you can tell that it's like almost no clearance under. You can even push on it and you don't see it move. All the other strings you can see move a little bit. But this high E string,
too low then.
It's pretty low, and there's even a divot there on the 1st fret, which makes me think that this nut is even too low here, because I adjusted the truss rod on this guitar, let all the tension out, lefty loosey right, and to let the strings take over, and even then it was still getting some buzzing on the open high E string. So that's a telltale sign if that your nut is too low. And another telltale sign is if your
Now, I always knew if your nut was too low, yes, you're going to have that automatically you're going to have buzz and all that. But yet another capo trick. putting the capo over on the 3rd fret and then tapping. Very, very, very good to know. So I learned something very valuable just off this video right there. The more you know. Ding, 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 ding.
Strings are actually buzzing open. The last thing that we're going to cover in this video that might be causing some string buzzing is a low saddle. And if you have your guitar set up right,
like I said earlier, that's not something that I'm prepared to mess around with on an acoustic, on an electric guitar, or a bass all day long. You know, I've been doing that more and more. That's one of the first things that I did when finally starting to do my own mods and any of my own tech work. That's not even really a mod. That's just doing your setup. That's something that I should have learned to do decades ago on my own. But I was just so preoccupied with everything else and just thinking, you know, I was never like one of those people like my main guitar tech always says, like, it's a weird thing with musical instruments. People don't want to modify it or do anything with it because they think it makes music. It's magical. That's not necessarily what I thought at all. My whole thing was, I got enough work with just trying to figure out how to play these things. You know, I need to practice. Here, I'm just going to bring it to a true professional that knows how to do it. Here you go, Jay. Fix it for me. I'm good. But then, you know, as of lately, I was kind of like, you know, wait a minute. You know, I should learn at least some basics. And then I dove in a lot further than just the basics, of course.
all the frets are dressed in a nice shape. If your nut is the right height and you have the right amount of neck relief on your guitar, then the last culprit could be the saddle on your guitar. And this is really where you get your action from, how high your action is. And one real easy way to check this is just with a string action gauge. And it has here on the back what the recommended kind of ballpark thing is, or measurements are for an acoustic guitar, and it's 2 to 2.5 millimeters on the bass side, on the sixth string, and then 1.5 to 2 on the first string. So what you do is just come in here, millimeter side, and check the action. If it's way low, like around 1.25 or 150 or lower at the 12th fret, then you might need to consider replacing your saddles here. And along the lines of, if you want to actually replace a nut or a saddle,
if it's too low on the bridge, I do believe you could shim it up. So, you know, again, that's not something that I've played around with on acoustics. Like I say, on an electric guitar or electric bass, their saddles, you take the Allen key, you crank it up, or you lower it. Little more difficult, to say the least, on an acoustic. But I'd like to think if the action is too low, I don't know, like, you know, I got my acoustic, maybe I'll take it out and try to pop it out, but maybe not, because I think there's a piezo pickup. That's where they load the piezo pickup. But you could just shim it up, I would think. You could throw some sort of something underneath there for shimming, I would assume. And even if it was too high, I'd like to think that you could take it and sand it down or file it down until it becomes lower. The only problem would be, of course, don't sand it down too low, because then once you're going too low, you can't do much. Well, I guess you have to shim it up again, but then you're kind of working against yourself.
It's easier nowadays than it ever has been because of companies like Graph Tech that make those tusk nuts that you can just take your old nut off, pop a new one in. It's really easy. They usually fit really well. The height is usually set pretty right. And the same thing goes for your saddles. If you need to replace your saddle, it's easier now than it ever has been to just pop a new saddle in there. So those are some of the ways that I found over the years to kind of diagnose why you're getting fret buzz on your guitar. If you have any other ones that have really helped you out, leave them in the comments below to help the guitar community out here, and we'll see you later.
Alrighty. Alrighty. So that was How to Fix Annoying String Buzz on Your Guitar by Musora. So yeah, again, everyone, go and subscribe to this channel And also, go and give a like to the original video. I included the link in my description, and leave a comment on this video, my video, on what you'd like to see me react to next. Thanks for checking out this video. If you like what you saw, please subscribe, click the notification bell, like, comment, and share. It doesn't cost a thing and would really help out the channel. Also, please subscribe to my other channel, GK Mac Music, for some live looping live streams with a side of jackassery, some original music, and some short content, also with a side of jackassery. If you'd like to help out the channel financially, you can buy some merch at the merch store, or you can become a channel member. As always, everyone, thanks so much for your continued support. Do what makes you happy.